Okay, here we go again. Now, in case you're wondering, I didn't stream the past 2 days. Life kept busy. I got real busy, and I just did not feel it because this is the thing that I'm not gonna stream if I'm not feeling like streaming. And if life is not nice, but I do love that it tried to continue right where I left off. It could have the background in this one too. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets the alarm bells ringing all over the ship, and it brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to say. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I just wish everything would stop. Ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Yeah, it's a little hard. Susato's gonna be the hard one for me to do, I think. What's this? Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yeah, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although I seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Cosmo's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find you a little snack for you later. Anything else going on? I guess we'll knock on these doors. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator which Kazuma-san wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in that cabin can help solve this freaking issue. Let's ask. Excuse me, we need to get inside this cabin here. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. What about this one? First class cabin number 1. Yeah, that's our cabin. Not our cabin. It is Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. These cabins are the finest on the ship. My own cabin in steerage is 539, by the way. 500 and... How many cabins are there? Anything else I haven't checked? Not seeing it. Which button is it? There we go. See, I just can't have the highlight over it. Reject that, reject that. Reject that. That's the way to the second-class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started with my talk of running away. Now, there's no way I could run away while Kazu's death remains a mystery anyway. Well, buddy, what do you need? Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer? That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? God, I keep messing up. You little third-class ladies' maid? Oh. You seem to have caught this sailor on a bad day, says Hada-san. I am not a sailor. My mother gave me a name. I am senior crewman Beef Stroganoff. The best thing is just avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff? About the first-class cabin area. Here we are in finals party, Boreas steamship. For very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I'm always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean. But Stroganoff is not the animal. Thank you. If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi currently occupied? Oh. Susan, do you understand that? It sounded like, duh. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, sounds like there's somebody in the next door of the cabin at least. Yes, it is. It's tantalizing. Let's find out about last night. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Ah, all the time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything at all about last night at all? It is sad about the student boy. Are you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Sato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? I said that. No. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to it, Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsy Roylet. He is very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylett is eccentric Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly students from insignificant Far East islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylett came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the whole time, I never once heard anything from next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh. It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulk into second-class area, staying locked at all times. You escape when lobster whistles on top of a mountain. Or as English say, when pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. Ha ha ha! Anyway. Oh, new stuff here. That book on top of the table there is really huge. There's a pin with it, too. Yes, I'm sure that's the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage is meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. Anyway, look here. Last night's log is mostly blank. It literally means there's nothing to report. So now, yeah, we already checked that, I thought, so it's letting me do it again. Don't think that changed anything. Nothing. Okay. It's fine. Anything else? Door! This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator, from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerge. Maybe whoever was in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask! No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one here to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Inside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I'll revel in kicking the doors off their hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What prey can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress, Woody. Ninth of January. SS Buria, first class cabin. Number 2. Who are you? Western gentleman? Man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man doesn't appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you! Now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. God, I can't remember to return. Hang on, I'll get it back. Yes, that's me. And you are... I'm the one and only, the actual Sherlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. That's it. No. I am a great detective among detectives. One who adorns the cover of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. That man uses the magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So, might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small trapping case? Well, don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Well, it's quite fashionable these days, isn't it? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my. Did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yeah, the case just shut. Leave, now. Otherwise, I'll call the steward. Well, this is Cosmo's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylett. No doubt about it. The strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Well... What the... God damn it. Fucking Herlock. I investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Okay, that's not... There we go. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? Oh. You need only arrest me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed, I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of deduction into service. God, I'm having a hard time keeping this straight. And it would seem the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylett, is clearly trying to hide something. And you know what the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding in secret? Why? The truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out, such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian reacts when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh, yes, please. Well then, what are you about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detectives' greatly admired great deduction to the case. And why am I having so hard? Could this man be more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness? Or is Russian on account of his dubiousness? Like, I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you. Or anyone. That's right. And Mr. Sholmes? I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. I must have complete silence. But what are you doing? Why are you peering into my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shares, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you've been discovered. And this is about right. Does it not? Oh, Naruhodo-san. I had never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about the person. What? What an ineffable twaddle. Oh, yes. I've read about it countless times in The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. Oh, how could you? How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I cordially invite you on a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reason. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shields in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on this matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper. In particular, the fascinating front-page article. Which, it would appear, you've also read, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolution of Villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. In the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Oh! And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies within the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes, Yes, that traveling case. It's time, I think, for the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation. A young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit there. No. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me. We're not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil. Duel. Betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. But there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction. And according to the article, the young lady's name is Nicolina Pavola. I'm pretty sure he's wrong. But this concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the Russian enigma, Eliminsky. Oh, great. Desada-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions, would you mind? Not at all, go on. Well, we'll start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Oh yes, I recall our discussion earlier. At the time, I believe I told you that man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, it would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old in that case. Even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady's 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out of the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A group of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain likeness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of this small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortions in a circus, Mr. Sholmes. This whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention, and his logic, that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off, Mrs. Otto. It's just one or two key words in his deductions that seem to have lifted down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, it was very tactful. I feel sure we could do that. We'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that I was going It was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. Ah, and you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment and look at your wrists. My wrist? Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the check to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Holmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Course correction. Hold it, Holmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously, what catches the eye in the first place? You must have shears in your hand. Yes, those. The answer, of course, is staring in the face. You're on the verge of using the shears to cut away that copious beard you sport. I am not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. Doesn't quite sit right with me, though. Doesn't seem quite to be sitting quite right with Mr. Roylott, either. Which means, I suppose, deduction's wrong. But let's try to switch a keyword here, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Naruhodo-san. And see if it helps matters. Right, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. Wonder if it's really his beard he is intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that fits the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deductions better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Well, I am the one who has to do something about this. Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around that nonsense. What exactly is Mr. Roylott really going to use this enormous shears for? Wait, I can use the thick hat, but that's not right. We know it's not the beard. It's a very thick hat, isn't it? Oh, that's the secret, you see, Naruhodo-san. Don't you know? Secret? What? Secret? What? Well, before we left Japan, I took some time to study various foreign countries. Russia is a land of unimaginable cold, and that thick hat is a secret to keeping warm. Without one, I read that your brain would freeze. That was just one of the many fascinating snippets of information in Oh Mother, Not Russia. I think maybe you picked the wrong book there. Well, since the only other thing I have to do is the hat, yes! We'll try the hat. For years, you've been on the run at Homeland, and that hat has never left your head. As a result, almost unbelievably, your thick beard is woven inextricably together with your hat. But now you have an itch. Somehow you must reach it, even if that means cutting the hat off. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? Just following the natural progression of deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is, you do have a turn for observation and deduction. Did that hurt? Yeah, a lot. Well, that beer rushing planet got into the first shears. If we look carefully enough, perhaps we'll notice something that will give us a clue. Yeah, okay. Well, a beard. What was the man thinking of cutting? Oh, come on. Oh! What the? What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No, the color's not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylet's head? And how is it growing from underneath his thick black hair? Well, yes, that's true. It's so stunningly beautiful and stunningly... Something's definitely not right here. Yep.
Yes!
And now we know. You were on the verge of using those shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You've identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no. Oh no. If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. No, it's the article about the ballerina. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a woman in disguise. Did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room, deducing the facts with Mr. Schultz. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Schultz's seduction, shall we? The evidence that you picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true. Given that Mr. Roylet is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose that's just because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction. Yes. Yeah. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fixes the facts we now understand. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. Feels like I either read about a young one or a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best.
Yes!
The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nicola Pavola. Ah. You're right. My real name is Nicolina Pavola. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Oh man, this is fun. Nope, it's steal my tiara now. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing this grievous crime. And the proof of this crime is over there. Oh yes, Miss Pavola. Speaking of West, people have the propensity to let their eyes stray, you say. And I assure you, your eyes speak much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. Prove your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. The one is the ballerina, and she's right in front of her eyes. So clearly she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I'm still gonna have to step in and fix the Great Ace mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of getting another chance to dance around, Mr. Schultz? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to.
Yes!
Well, we found the tiara. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah. I believe this tiara is worn staged by dancers at the Novich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, an item worth 20,000 rubles. In short summary, the crime you committed is theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully taking that precious tiara with you. Oh. I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an earl? Of Prussia? It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself? She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point in hiding it now. Come, let's not be hasty. So, what? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You've staunchly refused to open this traveling case, yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavola? My dear girl, there's no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I've ever laid eyes on you. Dear me. We're not well suited to the life of crime, are we? A careless coup d'eau, it's reach. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance and find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refused to open the case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed tack with his detective. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has she suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? This is just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open a case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Fasola certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. So there has to be another reason why she wouldn't open her case. It must be somewhere in this area. If that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree. That is the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her keys in the direction of the bookshelf. Books on the shelf? No. What it is the rules of passage. Because wasn't there a thing about pets?
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refused to open your case. Sorry. Yeah, it's the reason why you refused to open your case. It's written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refused to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time. But no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves one possibility, Mr. Bowden. Inside your traveling case. Is the last item. This is a forbidden vessel. It's the last item listed in the forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pen. Possession of a prohibited animal. Well, that was fun. I liked it. I like this investigation mechanic. Particularly because it's just, you know. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nicolina Pavola. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later, that same night, you still aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. Varia is a huge steamship with a fast crew. Could you really have been stuck on board without being noticed? In order to conceal your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman. And you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from the outside the cabin? That verifiable shrieking of a pink of a bell? One other than the young lady, naturally. Not like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away at Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man. I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard, and just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all of my hair as fast as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that from time to time. And those two even died about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You are right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew... Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return... You must tell us, in as much detail as you must, about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Well, Narhod, Mr. Narhod. Wasn't it something? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. At least Miss Pavola has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yeah, what? Observe your wrists. My... Ah, your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I am sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can it really? Anyway, let us listen to what Miss Pavola has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Cosmo-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Okay. Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Sorry, the man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh, that's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you saw the strange noise, for example. People talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded? Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed that if that had happened. Miss Pavola, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, haven't you? The Novovich Ballet? Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life. You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. But you have that striking tiara as a reminder. But the tiara is mine. I need it to live. I have no money of my own. Novovich Ballet only gives us a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I had stayed, it would have killed me. So you ran away to protect yourself. Yes, and the crew of this ship, they've all been kind to me. They let me come on board, said I could hide in this cabin. If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavola, it creates a most intriguing conundrum. Yes, it does. What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Well, yeah, of course. I think we share Miss Pavola's explanation. For what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Let's ask about the friend, and then we'll go into the conundrum. So this friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, right? I don't think animals are allowed on board, according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell. Don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious... The ballet Russians would bestir themselves to unison and use them to throw you and your case overboard, no doubt. Ah, so reassuring, Mr. Sholmes. But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it? Maybe an adorable little rabbit? Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits then? You may well ask. I have no idea. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of the young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken. Really? Consider the benefits. A roasting leg of coal, daily fresh eggs, and when adversity strikes, it satisfies the needs of sustenance. So you eat your friends? I'll remember that. It's a snake. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret, not to be revealed. He obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. Miss Pavola, please allow me to possess your riddle. According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you were scolded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the Asperia stopped by no port last night. Yeah, that's it, of course. So how is it, pray, that you come to be on board? Now that I think about it, the crewman outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked him about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard. That is not your business. Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something. Angels descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry, what was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described me in one of my performances. And that is how I came here too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I can never resist the touch of a dramatic. It seems Miss Pavola is the same. A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself. A quote from the wonderfully extravagant advertisement for the adventure of Sherlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Shelley. Anyway, doesn't look like Miss Pavola is going to tell us what really happened. So, let's do this. Oh, I can't. And we will present this and see if... This is the diary of my friend who passed away. His diary? Yeah, and he wrote in it last night before he died. Something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m. It looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? I don't understand. Strange, isn't it? But the ventilator he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, his cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. Oh, Miss Favola? Has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you? Or the whistling sound, perhaps? No, I don't know anything. Oh?
Excuse me, Mr. Royals.
Yes?
Yes, what?
Wow, she's fast.
Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to captain quarters at once. Please. Alright. I will come. Now. Come now.
What?
You must leave. Now.
Oh, no, it's fine. Don't mind us. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Royals.
Get out! The passenger said out. Or do you want me to throw you out?
See, the reason we know it's a snake is if you can see there's a bit of a band around him. So you got squeezed, probably. It looks like I'll have to investigate this cabin until later. What a pity. So we lost our chance. I still not managed to investigate Miss Favola's cabin. We were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we're quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Okay, we've got part one of our investigation. Wow. That is something, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Gentlemen, this is Maria. First class cabins. Passageway.
I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. I wish we managed to find some clues as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us, as to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where'd he go? Oh, yes, he completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring these were securely back on my wrists. Okay. Let's see. I guess I could probably go back to the cabin. That's annoying. So we now know the records were intentionally falsified. What door leads to the second class area? It's locked. I can't even open it. No, well, that stands to reason. No one wants to let the murderer escape. Ah, she gave me a very stern look when she said that. Except for, well, still hasn't escaped. Murderer was I'm pretty sure it's Miss Favola's snake friend. That's my guess, and I'm sticking to it. First class cabin on? Yes, that's our cabin. Yeah, I know. We've already been through it. We've done this. Whatever Inspector Hosonaga has managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him. Ask. Well,
then we go back to...
see, the thing is there's no reason for Kazuma to write in Russian. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosonaga is unscathed. What do you mean unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. You're back. Inspector? What happened to you? Your face is... Please, don't worry about it. They're just scratches. Made by a bear, maybe. When I told the captain I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fist and then toss me overboard. What? But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really. Looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd laid his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we know a little more about the neighboring cabin. Yes, so I understand. Oh. I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Schultz? I don't think he was German, though. Ah, that explains it. Shall we compare notes, son? We can tell you what we found out. Yes, let's do it. What? Galina Pavola? She's in the cabin next door? Oh, do you know who she is? Please, what self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that graceful angel? Oops, I think I upset him there. Well, that tells us what the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least. Oh? How? Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they? Oops, now I've definitely upset him. Inspector, has your investigation here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to the Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job. Oh, I see. Ah, here's one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you. Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector. Please. What is this new information you have, Inspector? It's this. Superior Medical Officer has finished the examination of the body and managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report? Kazuma-sama. So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae. That's what's written in the report. His neck was broken? Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all. Well, what weapon was used then? Nothing has been found yet, but the fact there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object. Something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. Oh, but these nerves run through the spine to the brain. Strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It's a possibility, and no wound would be left. Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it. Really? Are you sure? Yes, it's fine. I trust you. After all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to let you leaving the cabin in the first place. Ah. Far in front of it into the court record. And now about the great detective. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here then, was he? Yes, he seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored. Did he say anything at all? Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. It's shoe polish, was all he said. Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass. Do you see now? Ah, perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, don't you think? Ah, yes, that must be it. But how come Mr. Scholl knows that it's shoe polish? That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea. What is it, Sada-san? Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue. Dark tan? Sort of brownish red, then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often prepared them for him. Oh, does this mean this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? Well, there's signs of a struggle here. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you. Poor Inspector. You look exhausted. Oh, no. Well... I feel real terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke this morning. A heavy head? That's interesting. My head's still throbbing, too. Well, since we got a new lead on this, let's investigate it. It really is such a beautiful color, this grass. Looks like whatever it was has broken clean in two. But here I have nowhere to be seen. And there's the brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to that great detective you seem to know all about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe. Well, what I'd like to know is, how can a detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something else? Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? Okay. I could ask about that. It's letting me reinvestigate a bunch of shit, but some things are still Mm. But this ventilator drives Mr. Pavlov's kid. Yes, that's right. Just a few minutes before he died, Cosmo saw something emerge from it. A spectral band, as he described it. If only Miss Pavola had been able to shed some light on it. But she seemed as baffled as we are. Yes, I wonder if she's telling us everything. I'm not sure. I know most people on board would say the same about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. So it's clear these letters were written in the ink that was somehow spilled on the floor, and I spelled a Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be unambiguous pointer to you, Naruto-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or her word, in Russian. Which begs the question, who did write it? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Cosmo spent his final moments writing his diary. 1:22 a.m. I can hear faint whistling sound. It looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. I'm off voice, I know that. Look at this writing here on this page. It's almost impossible to believe he's gone. Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words. I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruto-san. We will. All the books for the passengers in his cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when we first looked around, if you remember. Oh yes, you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship properly. Unruly behavior in the cabin lead to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that you lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. See, the thing is that the books in the other cabin were knocked over too. So. Anyway, let's do a quick check over here. Anything new? Nope, nope, nope. Okay.
You, where did you go?
Oh, sorry, I just went to the next door cabin.
Why? Who gave you permission for this?
Well, I mean, Seaman Hosanaga did.
Oh, that new Japanese was it. Later I will roll him into a ball and throw him into a cold room.
Oh, he's gone back to guarding the door. I hope Inspector Hosanaga does not find himself in too much trouble on our account. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at the carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruto-san. So, I think that's everything? Unless I'm missing something, but... I think we've got everything we're gonna get here. See what's going on in the first class, but yeah. Yep, I was right. Ah! Look, Naruto-san. Seaman Stroganoff has gone. Strong enough? The very Russian sailor who is always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Tra-la-la. Did you hear that? It sounded like someone singing.
I did the great detective. I did it the great detective way.
He's caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. That's not right. That was. Yeah. Yes, we must seize it. Let us get inside Miss Favola's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. Before that stingy not crewman comes back. Stroganoff, not stingy not. Into the cabin.
Oh god, that's bad.
Miss Favola isn't back yet. She's out of town. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are our private things. There's not a moment to waste now, Rose. We must investigate as quickly as we can. I suppose you're right, for Cosmo's sake. No, not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san. By ourselves, if we have to. Yes, we will. So, the thing I want to check first is this. All the books are toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that's a sign of the god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door. The Cosmos cabin. Perhaps. Miss Pavola was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against her bookcase. I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on this ship is because of me, you know? Well, anyway, I will set them straight again in here, too. I don't like seeing things in disarray. Oh my, Miss Pavola's case is open. It's completely empty inside, but according to Great Detectives, great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in here. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Beria. Beria. Anyway, I wonder what kind of animals you had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry, I'm right there, yes. Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know? Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping you might find Mr. Pavola's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. Yeah, so I can't check out the other bag here yet. That's interesting. Let's see what this vent is. This ventilator connects to Cosmo's cabin next door. Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to put a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe. It's so there's a gas leak next door. The occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning. That is a possibility. Anyway, last night, someone wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator. There's one of these next to the bed in Cosmo's cabin, too. Yes, it is a bell cord. I can't resist. Really hesitated there. She gave it a good tug there, too. No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come. We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. This cabin door is the same simple sort of bolted latch as our cabin door is. Bolts are on a cross, there's no way anybody can enter the cabin from outside. Yes, it's not particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? Still, it wouldn't slide across on its own accord, would it? No, and the other door is made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from either side. And the seal is up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater from coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through the crack around the tour's door either. I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Anyway. I wonder what this dish of saucer is doing on the floor. Yeah, this looks like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Ah, do you think there could be a leak in the roof? Just above here? What? A leak? In the ship. Is the ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, doesn't mean the whole ship is gonna sink. No. No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else, by the looks of it. Well, Miss Favola's only went away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied the cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of book she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Favola enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks, I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that. It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that Russians are a very thirsty people. Or, because Miss Favola only came to this cabin last night, she hasn't had a chance to make any tea yet. I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? Oh, that statement means something different. Kind of. Some people are thirsty. We will look at their notices. Ah yes, there's flame in this cabin too. Look, Mrs. Burria's rules of passage. Visitors must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. I suppose Miss Favola realized that she needs to keep the contents of our case a secret after she read this. Our special friend, I mean. I wonder where her friend disappeared to now. It's probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine. I just hope Steven Stroganoff doesn't find it and throw it overboard. Oh, yeah. So do I. Oh. I suppose every cabin has a waste picking basket. Shall I have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san. It is poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish, you know. Those eyes. She's looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly. We have no choice. There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. So that everything? Mm-hmm. Well, that's got to be everything, right? Hmm? I guess not. So let's do another pass of things and see what we can find. Hmm. I'm not seeing anything, and that's really got me concerned. Hmm. I am not seeing anything, and let's... Well, if there's nothing else for me to do here, we might as well go back to Galaxy's Cavern. And... well... Hey! Oh, Mr. Schultz, look. Wow, you never know where he's gonna turn up next, do you? He seems to be stealing a look at something he sings as he sings to himself. I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed this? Or is he simply in extremely high spirits? Yes, there are times, I'm sure you know, when the yard bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was a doubt, it's lucky her luck was about. Excuse me? I solved it all and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way. Mr. Sholmes! Ah! What? What does he want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing. And I was just about to reach the climactic finish. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I just figured now is as good a time as any. I barely nearly dropped to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Alright, I get the picture. Now, could you put those fists away? Yeah, that doesn't feel right. I finally got into the swing of it. It took me like an hour and a half. God damn it. Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in the study of this ship's log, penned by a stockily built crewman who's usually on guard here. Oh, yes, the ship's log. And did you find anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Sorry? Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Schultz? Observe the other pages, and all shall become clear. You would have seen the same crewman off stand sentry in this first-class passageway, and he is almost religious to practice of recording nothing to report at every half hour. Oh, so he writes that at every 30 minutes? Nothing to report.
Precisely. Simply put, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report.
Do you mean?
Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night which led to the seaman being absent from his post.
What kind of circumstances? What happened?
That remains a mystery for now, but it's something we can sure. But we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribbling nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must log the ship's log in your mental file. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. Ah, you're starting to understand what my way is. I see what makes Sholmes brilliance. Ah. Oh, ouch.
What is it? Are you hurt?
Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning. For some reason, nothing more. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. So, the ship must have come to an abrupt stop or something that threw all those bookshelves, all the books over, and then slammed us. Well, yeah, they must have slammed people's heads into things, causing bruises, and this throbbing head. No, either that or it was something else. It wasn't poison. He's still singing to himself. You can hear it as he wanders down the passageways. Is something wrong, says Autozel? You seem to be lost in thought.
It's just, well, I feel the same.
Sorry?
Ever since I awoke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing.
Oh, you too? Interesting. Well, then I'm clearly missing something in Pavolo's cabin. Oh, what's that? Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter mile forward. Full stop, hard to start. All hands, brace for impact. What the?
I think we're about to crash into another ship.
What? Can't stand. Listen, hold on. Oh! Yusato-san, are you alright? Are you injured at all?
I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san.
It looks like we avoided a collision.
I think...
Yes, the ship has come to a stop.
Oh my goodness. What about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine. Hello? Is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like
Inspector Hosonaga.
Is that you in here, Naruhodo? Unbolt the door, quickly. What? The bolt?
Look at that. The doors.
The door's bolted.
Did you do that, Sasato-san? No, I didn't touch it.
Well, that's strange. How did...
And
Look at all the books. Just like they were before again.
Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in?
I better tidy this place up first. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least, in a very vivid way. But anyone who waited on the other side of that cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Are we now in part 3? Because this sounds like a part 3. Well, hopefully we finish this case today. I might go a bit long for it. Or to be more accurately, I think after the end of this case is where we're going to call it if I do get there. It's January. This is Beria. Beria. Anyway, Miss Pavola's cabin. Somehow, the door of the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Sato-san took a deep breath, and then gently slid back the bolt. You, what are you doing in Miss Pavola's cabin, of course? Ah, you both look unhurt. Good. Yeah, we're fine. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? I heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how'd that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop. Everything is in chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere. This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? What, someone triggered the alarm? What's that mean? Did someone press that button outside? Oh, you wicked intruder, dressed on back. You are the devil. Sorry? Me? Called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No. We didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavola. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he's killed a man? And he has stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe? Take him away. He is a trespasser, as well as everything else. Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right, you are devil. Doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock at home. Then we give you straight to police. Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosonaga, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. That is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Hang on. I can re-examine some things, and that's fine. I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things. You want me to show you where the crawfish are? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me. And I was just starting to think she was my friend. Is there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Yes, the crazy person. What the? What are you doing up there? What the hell? Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what weight of 20,000 rubles felt like on one's head. Wait. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not? This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Oh. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of the 20,000 ripples. Naturally. I wish to determine if I could bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall. So full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take that man seriously or not. Ah, you again. The great detective. Ah, Inspector. I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you, Most Urgent. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time. What is the report? Speak! An urgent report from a great detective could mean but one thing. Yes. The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Booyah, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I've eliminated all possible possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate all your minds. For I'm about to reveal my great detectives, greatly admired, great deduction to the case. You've solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning, when we found the criminal in the wardrobe. It is this doorway, and he has handcuffs to prove it. I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. And that's a false statement. Yes, it's what's called the locked room mystery in detective stories. The locked room. That is point. The room was locked. Well, I can't deny that. But there's a flaw. There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are all quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all. What? Oh, yes. There's another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door. What other entrance? We never discovered one. Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man. The ventilator? Oh, you think this is funny? I can't even put my arm through that hole. That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks. You're suggesting the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? You're hearing a whistling sound. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill? Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I'm ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cause. Behold! Ah! What the? What the? Allow me to introduce you all. Allow me to introduce to you all to the band, the speckled band. A snake? Indubitably. Mr. Jones, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you? Oh, that snake. Isn't it really speckled? Is it? Looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Huh? Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? You both see and observe with distinction. However, do you not think that's precisely the trap in which the culprit wishes you to fall? Oh my goodness. Really? It's a trap? How exactly? I think perhaps it's time I explained the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavola? I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing is nothing to do with me. There are two conclusions I've drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin. Oh. And number two, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life. No. No. She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again. She almost must be right. Just the nail on the head. This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi? It looks like he can't speak with that snake water on his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You would know the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Miss Favola, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. It is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on this portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend in which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. Nope, it was the eye. Yeah, okay. I think that fast leaves the quandary. The victim's written observation that night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, the specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What expedition is this to give them? Give, pray. What is this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have an answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal, can only be the snake's slowed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No? I don't know what you're talking about. Last night, through the ventilator visible in his cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side of the bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it appeared to be the gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, It's a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it slows its skin. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter. The grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data, of which I've been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. Oh. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as a fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, there's vestiges of snakebite delivered by your terrified friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavola. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right. You had evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. Nope. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. A serpent assassin is restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It's telling that the victim made a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his death. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you'd used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you put the serpent through the ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release the snake once more. Do you not deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slid into the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course the victim's vein, ending its existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled bat that took the poor young man's life. There could be no doubt. My logic's infallible. No, it's quite fallible. I have evidence against most of that. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the speckled bat. Miss Favola has trained that pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is the key to training any creature. Incredible! You solved the mystery. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its nature. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, he was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Holmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions to my method, and we will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all,
Snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, man. And the reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah! It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Mr. Volo used some other treat to encourage our pet to do our bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah! Yes, so I'm not sure if it would be possible to signal a snake by whistling. But madam, what are the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. They can respond to vibrations too. You know what? We're not getting into it. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears? These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There is one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these caverns. Then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone to live inside within Fort Nicholas cabin, it could not have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it is difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Close, but not right. Was really where Holmes has been this whole case. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean? Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them to the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that this was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. Now cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not. I shall see them restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. So, I'm not gonna re-voice act stuff until we get to new things. There's a pain expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Cosmos-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then? Let us take a moment and really look closely at Miss Favola. Okay. Let's look. She really does look troubled. Yes, it's hard to believe she's putting that expression on her bullets. But if you look closely, it's almost like she's actually staring at something. At what, do you think? Perhaps something's physically causing her pain. We should have a closer look.
Well, it's this.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, claw strats smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that wound is fresh. Miss Frivola, you did in fact receive that scratch sometime last night. Ugh. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And that's not very fine. It's not very fine. That evidence is your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on this pretentious night? Why, naturally, it was the friend which you boarded this vessel with. As I expected, a telltale glance. Without a doubt, your friend is writing something between paws. No. It seems likely the scratch mark on the back of Miss Bravola's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend's work? We should follow her gaze and not hold us on. That's where we'll find the answer. Ah, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Frivola brought with her when she ran away. She is exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. Personally, this little black creature she's holding has caught my eye. Maybe you better take a closer look at this. Little kitten?
Yes!
Without a doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ugh. Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victims are written observations on the night in question tell the speckled band. Whereas, regressively, the specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. It has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal. What do you think? No, it's not. It's a stocking. Do you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she left it in her pocket, no one would have known. Oh, yes, toys like that are Mr. Sholm's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was a specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, what is Miss Frivola hiding behind her back? Yeah. Well, there's a speckle in this band, but what is it? It needs to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort? Well, that looks like a handle on one. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You need only to wave to the front and they pounce to catch it. That sounds positively adorable. Anyway.
Yes!
Yes, the thing you're trying, but failing to conceal, is, a cat's toy? Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled bat. Oof. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After our feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighboring cabin, Miss Favola attempted to use our speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah! In summary, the true nature of this friend of Miss Favola's, which last night portrayed the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darker. Oh, yeah. God, I can't do that. I can't do females beautiful. A troublesome sort of feline, young Darker is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Favola. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. Scratched the back of my hand, and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. So, how did the snake get here? Moving on, we've come to the heart. The room denies the victim. How did this young man lose his life? And why? According to the data of which I've been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstance of the victim's death can only be explained by terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now.
Yes!
In fact, the current circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Oh yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. Jury's out. Anyway, we have a good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Well, no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something. Or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. And yes, no weapon has been found for him. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow. I suppose it is possible that he had fallen and hit the ground awkwardly. Could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yeah, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-san. He wasn't a clumsy man.
We need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything in the scene that can explain what happened? The mark on the floor.
Yes!
Yes. Yes. Examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposited shoe polish. Shoe polish? Indeed, positively identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results. An undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's laced leather shoes. Blah. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at some point on the floor and tripped. Please, no. And by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instance, he lost his life. No! I'm not great with females. I don't know anything about this. Is that really true, Miss Pavola? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glances betray the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's date in the traveling case. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened. But... And if this part of Mr. Sholm's deduction is right, Miss Favola is trying to hide some evidence that will prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction she just cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere. Anything in this? Let's see. This is a waste paper press. Perhaps all the fish. Miss Favola only started acting as cat late last night. Presumably, there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, what's that? It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it is. I feel like I've seen it somewhere below. If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you. Well.
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Oh. Here we have fragments of some intricate glass object. It would seem one that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And, as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly. Oh no. So, Miss Favola, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that this part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in this waste paper basket in your cabin? Go. Again, I'm not great at it. You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not? I don't know. In that hushed Russian accent of yours. Won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question. What? Take it away, Mr. Nahodo. Yes. Looks like Mr. Favola and the little glass bell. That would be... Oh, it's pretty obvious.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see hanging from Darka's collar the very glass bell in question. Well, the truth is caught up with you, Miss Favola. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble your absent feline friend, Darka. I'm probably just going to randomly pick one of their voices to do whenever that happens, because I can't do both. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Papola? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through that ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired that rather nasty wound. On the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again. By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator until you joined the cabin. Darka always loved this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy, I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosmo wrote in his diary was Miss Favola trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful pang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Cosmo was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Buria is the large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. Mr. Asogi was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching, where the kitten got under his feet. A combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. What became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet Darka remains nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I awoke this morning,
I heard that a young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake? You're right. Where's it at? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavola, then whose is it? And where did it come from? What is such a dangerous creature doing aboard the ship?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Piroziko. Pirozoko.
What? What? That snake belongs to you?
He escaped from cage when the emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him.
Yes, how did that snake get into the cabin? But the animals are not permitted on board.
We were at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend? Without someone to understand?
Can't you find someone at least a little more human who understands you better?
But, my dear burly fellow,
like I answer a venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in.
no venom. Pirozoko does not have venom. He is harmless, very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny.
It's venomous?
Yes, now he is hungry. So he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Huh, like they say milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only stupid stories. Pirozoko eats mouses. Big fat round mouses.
Ah, so... Oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food?
Nothing sits top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Refuses to drink milk. Can't hear a whistle. Can't climb up Velcor. It's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role?
It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Pirozoko is nothing to do with this incident.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. Miss Pavola, I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavola just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events. An accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavola's story. I'm sure of it, I just can't quite put my finger on it. It's the damn bell. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh! I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction?
I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Ah, again, when did he do that? Especially as that on your wrist is a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You were, Mr. Schultz? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours. Was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Nahodo. Yes, whatever that may be. Key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavola's story. Sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. Truth about how you really died. About how the scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first. He's the victim who lost his life in the cabin. It was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it. Haven't we? The man tripped over a kitten that had climbed into his cabin via ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Mrs. Favola's story here. The evidence is right there in Mr. Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show up our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. Evidence proves unequivocally the victim's death was no mere accident. Well, I would say this, but
Yes!
the truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way Mr. Osogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian? It is a simple language. You could have picked it up very fast. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There's no way Mr. Osogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ah. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason, either. There's something else we found in Mr. Osogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't have possibly been there, if what Mr. Favola told us was true. What? So Sana and noticed it too, then. Putting his mention on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. Uh, so I'm gonna guess it's the diary.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? Starting to see how it's okay. I think what you're starting to see is nothing of the sort. No one's ever proven. If it was no accident, then what should we be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you should expect to find in a scene of an incident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most convincingly put, my dear madam. Ah, I see. I confess you're rather lame. See, doesn't fill me with confidence. Okay. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Shon does, anyway. Yeah, it's starting to take shape. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Mr. Vol's story. The evidence is right there in Cosmo's cabin. It's undeniable. Something else. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. So we know it can't be this, can't be that. It could be that, but what it might be is this.
Yes!
Oh, okay. So not now? That's not that? Okay. Really? Well, maybe it's the seal? But... So, okay. Maybe it's... Yeah, maybe it's remarkable. So, here's the thing. So, maybe...
Yes!
This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the glass bell the kid had around his neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. There's the flaw in that logic. Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? That's really what happened. But how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Oh, right. Yep. Ah. Yes, remember, we found the other half of the glass bell in that wastepaper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. And when Mr. Osogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yeah, I can't really do that. I'm sorry. It's not great. I suck at it. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Osogi.
Hold it!
You're wasting time. Someone else was there? Duh, of course. We know this. What are you talking about? Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out. Oh, yes. And the only other person in the cabin where young student died was you.
Yes!
It's true. I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise, at the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I had been asleep in there the entire time. And then the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor. My fear was becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Osogi-san really died. Why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell anyway? Leaving half behind was going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. Single, small lamp, suspended from the ceiling, would barely cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice the fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Oh, he got the snake off his face. Seaman Stroganoff? Nina is a woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills, and she went away to join Barrington. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angle of being criminal. It's an angle. So that's it. You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin? But that is not possible. I give my tooth. Well, this is most interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure? You're a great detective. You should know. Well, truth in eyes, Cabin Bolthead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or do you want to tell me the killer can walk through locked doors? Yet, it's impossible. He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread so they can open and close them from the outside. Read? Are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors. Certainly not. These are watertight domes, as one would expect to find on any modern steam ship. Constructed of heavy steel, with not a gap in sight. New threads, needles, or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sato-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that it could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind have been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from outside? One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you. Because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs the method I was used to slide the cabin bolts across from the outside. Yep. Come on. So, yeah.
Yes!
It should be that. Look at the bookcase there. See all the books and things that toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel, after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over. I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on objects. Is there nothing Sunsana doesn't know? Or at least that isn't in our bookcase? Well, whatever it's called, it's the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase. Also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door. It was very obvious after the emergency stop the ship made earlier. We had come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then... Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Sorry. Sorry, shout if you need assistance. Yeah, that's right, it's Hosonaga. Shit. Inspector Hosonaga. Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door. Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. But you trying to say that last night, Mr. Sogi was killed? Mr. Sogi was killed. GSF Brilliant made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning, I looked around the cabin. I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh, yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? That's when we came into this cabin, and we're surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin. Oh my. Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Yeah. Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made emergency stop? It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it's simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm. Oh, yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there? Telling you only to press the button in times of emergency. On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lieutenant alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. That sort of button, one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you? When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed it did a little earlier today. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... As I always... Damn it, my voice is starting to give up. As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with the ship? I report you, Captain. You are in much trouble now. No. I'm sure all that can wait. Hold back and wait till later. Let us not overlook the fact that we now have learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to us, Mr. Asogi, did the ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You're idiots. Bury a huge ship with many passengers. If we make an emergency stop, even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Nahoda? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Oh, really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. Whatever's promotes the theory that some emergency gripped his vessel last night.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship. Isn't that right? No, that is correct. Why? And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties. What are you doing with that? That is mine. Ah, you rather carelessly left it up. This is the little makeshift bureau in the passageway up there. But, as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log? That is... duh. Because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write "nothing to report," wouldn't you? Indeed, sir. Which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Buria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish. If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh? Why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That is very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell so loud. I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? Sorry? What do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We've all suffered with it. Huh. Oh, yes. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing big too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. The first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I'd already been dragged out of the wardrobe, and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Nahoda, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes. Sorry. Stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Ah, well, Cosimo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Cosimo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No. Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a spore, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it.
A sleeping drug? Do you mean? Whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo. Of course that's not what Mr. Schultz means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with this specific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman. I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. Yeah, that's how she got on board. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And for that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, will be hauled over to the coals. Over to the coals. Very daunting. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw away everything. Her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's right. That's right. No. You are right. We put sleeping dog in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. We could not make it all drug. How you say, dissolve? Talk about a heavy seasoning. At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with a small fishing boat. All the passengers on the SS Buraya slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who dislike chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been impossible for you. It would have been impossible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Cosmo's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in the case. There would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins. After which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have eventually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway. And so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find their door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolts of a single cabin on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. You have talked a long time and said many things. What is the point? The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl. You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas.
But I am a sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes. A laudable trait. What? I am quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? Do you hear do you hear the accusatory cry of guilt on the wind? What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction. What are you talking about? I believe the time has come for one final logic and reasoning spectacular. To expose the truth. And here we go. Time to finish this case. So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two provocateurs. Observation? If you will remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Osogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You are delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can say. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night. Cosima died. Okay, what am I looking? She has such petite tears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells. Oh, what's that? Something dangling down from her ear. Ah, it's an earring. The crescent moon part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it? Women do seem to love adornments like that. In their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. Her jewelry is beautiful, Naruhodo-san. Okay. Let's see what we got. Chunky arms don't mean anything. She has such beautiful hair. Her little pink shells. Oh, what's that? There's something attached to her hair. Huh, I expect that's what's called an ear. It's a piece of jewelry. An earring. Is it? It's really tiny. Perhaps part of it is meaning. Maybe it broke off. So all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that. It's broken. Okay, let's use that then.
Yes!
Any jewelry you're wearing on your ears, Miss Buffalo. Were we to find a piece of those earrings within the cap, we prove beyond a doubt that you were there. Although, we haven't actually found anything yet, so... What spectacularly could drive logic to this minor conclusion? Oh, well, it's supposed to be a logic and reasoning spectacular, so... I thought I'd contribute to the show. This is my show, Mr. Naruhodo. Kindly perform peculiar experiments on your own stage. Sorry. Alright, fine. Not exactly to show that someone else was there when Cosima died. I can think of two possibilities. Either we find a trace of something that person in question left behind at the scene, or, if that's not possible, a trace of something the person took away, let's say. Be that accidentally or deliberately. A trace of something, let's say. Or, if you observe closely enough, I believe you'll find examples of both. Give them a long, hard, uncompromised stare for myself. That's my advice. Okay, come on. Have you noticed something significant about Steven Stroganov's hat? Oh, no. Sadly not. I was just thinking that if only we found it in Cosma's cabin, it would be all so easy.
That's true. A hat dropped at the scene would have been a very conclusive evidence. Ah, that's the point. I'm sure I saw you in your university hat at the scene somewhere. That is not a point. At least not one I'd like you to make. Well, let's see what we got. His arm like tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunks. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arm. He's a man born at the sea. He's born man at the sea. He had in a wake. Could have done anything but being dragged out of that wardrobe by this man. Naruhodo-san? Are you alright? You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. So... Oh! Found it.
Yes!
See, Miss Stroganoff. Seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there.
Huh? Ah, yes, I don't know where the dirt comes from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain.
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence proves the stain on the back of Stroganoff's uniform really is... Since we don't have a scene of the crime, it's gotta be this.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph. The ink, it shows. This is what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink?
A rather unusual color of ink.
Purple.
Ugh. Huh. It's the penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the board next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of the uniform is ink of the exact same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin, moments immediately after the ink was spilled.
Alright, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in the dead student's cabin to make it look like the wardrobe man did it. Then I pressed the button to make Buria do emergency stop, bolt and both cabin doors shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel.
Beef, please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty, patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Beef, please. You must help me.
I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told me. The kitten escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Asogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor. Yes, well, that is right.
So, after the incident and the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers?
only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. She said she was worried when she heard the sound of something falling on the floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel? The door was not locked, so she opened to look, and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Osogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened the door of student's cabin and looked inside.
I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? We discovered the real truth about Cosmo's death at last?
Ah, something very nearly slipped my mind.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes?
This photograph. Yes, I took it myself, you know.
The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly.
And unfortunately, that precipitated these events. The kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there's one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural. What do you mean unnatural?
What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruto? Oh, well... Cosmo tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of luck, broke his neck. Which part of this photographic seems unnatural?
Technically, I'd say. Why is he lying on his face? So, this would be my guess, but I don't... Where do you want me to point?
Yes!
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to look up where I need to exactly click, because I'm not going through this whole case again. I think you should probably be helpful to keep your eyes open.
They were open.
And can be equally helpful to use them.
Sorry, I'll try that. Damn it, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. Hang on a second. I think that it's plain what Mr. Sholmes means by unnatural, isn't it? The word written in a foreign language under his fingertips, surely. That particular crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit, no? I mean to identify another point. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself. What you'd land as the victim as? With your hands. Yeah, okay. You look like the sort of fellow who stumbles with some regularity. That should be an easy task. Why do I? Whatever. Kazuma tripped and fell, and by some terrible stroke of bad luck, broke his neck. Which part of his photograph seems unnatural? It's the hand.
Yes!
Alright, if he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then his fist just doesn't seem quite right. The exact thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. And here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say. As though he were gripping something.
What do you mean? sympathy that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there? My dear fellow.
Mr. Holmes, show us, please.
Why, of course, my dear Matt. Why would I keep you in suspense? This is what I found. God damn it. He called me like, oh, what are you looking at? But it's just like, oh, yeah, I had this as evidence the whole damn time. Fuck you, Sholmes. Ugh.
Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle.
Yes, you're right. Crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Observation is key. The truth is now tantalizing because how did the crescent come to cause him a clenched fist? So what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? Observe, find the answer with your own eyes.
Uh-huh. I wonder. Can I do a thing? No. Anyway. So the right ear doesn't prove anything, but the left ear does.
Yes!
And this is a fucking red herring too. Because it's just like, oh, she's missing something on her earring. It's clearly this earring. And this is like, no. You need to point out the earring with with it still attached.
Miss Pavlova, your ear there. So you have a crescent moon as well. Oh. What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Nahoda? Yes. Miss Pavlova, Mr. Asogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh, no. Angel? No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma? Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know Russian at all. I don't know. What is it? Cyrillic? I don't know. I think about everything that happened yesterday. It was too much. Running away, a fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin, and I could relax after this horrible, long day. Darka, wait. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darko would not come back. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? What are you doing at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave that man's cabin...
Just a moment. Just a moment. Sorry, but...
Oh, yes?
I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before.
Ah,
Of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina.
huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land of the faraway east know a Russian ballerina?
Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment.
I can't fool him. I have to tell the truth, and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice.
I see. So you run away.
Please keep my secret. Please don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
He's going to pull that cord. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him? Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me, I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't even know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about
And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway? I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like a leaf. She looked at me and said,
Help me, Beth. If they find out, I will be... Please, I have nowhere to go.
So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabin to make it look like I did it? So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door? Yes. I went into the cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right, that's when he found me.
So, you worked out the plan? To lay the blame on the stowaway.
I closed the wardrobe doors, put back strange paper sign.
Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent.
I dragged young man's body to good place, used ink that was spilling to right on floor. I wrote Rapido. So the person who found him would look inside the wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what is a glass bell?
It was by my feet, so I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished Joe. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Burya did indeed come to an emergency halt a little after 2 a.m. thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, and thus creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova.
What?
Well, you said that you told Cosmo about the fact that you run away from your homeland. And it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right?
Yes?
But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem?
It was what he said first that made me scared.
What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
He said an inspector was his friend.
Ah, yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard.
Acting as a bodyguard. If the police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, I... May I stop you a moment, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, is Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo?
Well, I'm not Cosmo, so I can't know for certain. But he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done.
No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back.
Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not yet done, it seems. There's one more deduction to make. What? Another deduction? Yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location in his cabin. That's easy. I remember every detail of that one. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage.
So, this is how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Cosmo-sama?
Yes, it's exactly how it was.
Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, there's one thing I've learned today. It's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Cosmo looking at? This is for an achievement. It's bed? I remember being annoyed about the pillow. Said it was too thin. Didn't he put that big, thick book of Japanese law underneath it or that? Perhaps he was thinking about looking something up. Either that or talking to Miss Pavlova made him acutely tired. So, no. He was not looking at the bell cord. What he was looking at, of course, was the wardrobe.
Take that!
Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Cosmo was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe.
The wardrobe?
And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly.
Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night?
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
Another opinion?
Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intends to consult his close friend on the matter. to see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt.
Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Osogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova, I can't. I fumbled that horribly. I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. Sorry. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? That's God, it's just my voice is getting very much. And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria is finally laid to rest.
Of January, 7:14 p.m. SS Buria, first class cabin passenger.
What will happen to Miss Pavlova? What will happen to Miss Pavlova now, then?
Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard.
What about the fact that she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her?
Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out.
Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia, then?
No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she would be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life.
I see.
I'm sorry.
Seaman Stroganoff?
I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police.
That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste. But, well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you?
Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan.
Yes. I did stow away, after all. I couldn't really expect any different.
So, you should get back to your cabin now.
It looks like my study tour of Great Britain is over before it's even begun, then. I think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Susato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Osanaga just told me I should pack. You know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. I mean, we already had a murder trial about this kind of thing. Yeah, Susato-san. I mean, it does hit differently when it's someone close to you. He had such grand ideas for his visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's much too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something. I wish there was something I could say. Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was wrong. I wish there was something I could say. My duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain. But I failed. And caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now. Huh? Surprised, Mr. Naruhodo? What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say? You are a stowaway, after all. He thinks this is funny? Mr. Schultz. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you'll be able to fill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but poor Sasato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know? All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Schultz. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Sasato? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Ah. But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there's still more than a month before we reach England shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must, in order to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo, that's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if, by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate.
But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Cosmo, as though there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit, too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mrs. Sato? I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No. It's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating. Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today, with your own eyes, from the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector, after all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm gonna try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant, after all. Thank you. And Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It is a great sword that has been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Mr. Sato, it seems we've been working together for some time and come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you two. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. What? I should have never doubted you. I should have never have doubted. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course, you would have never done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you're in shock. You just found out about me stowing away. And the cabin door was locked. No, I won't let you make excuses. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Nahuda. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Schultz. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did he see that? I presume this would be a form of Japanese wrestling? Oh, well, in a way, it's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Apparently, it's called the Susato Takedown. Leaves your head swimming, believe me. How beguiling. I am a practitioner of the combat of arts myself, and I'm somewhat accomplished boxer. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind to instruct me on the techniques of your wrestling throw. Yes, I'd be honored. Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam. Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Yeah. Oh, of course. That's the 6th. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh, yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato Takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato Squash. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karma? That's right. It's a prized sword that's been passed down for generations of the Yosogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Inosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. An important thing he had to do. I still don't know what it was. But I'm gonna see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Oh, man. That was a long one. I didn't think it. I thought they really just did make this a long game. Like, it feels long compared to what I'm used to from Ace Attorney stuff. Oh, but man, I'm enjoying the ride. So, we're going to save that, and then we're on to the next case next time. So, closing stuff. The plan. So they stream for tomorrow. We are finishing No More Heroes 3. Unless I just don't feel like doing it, but we'll finish doing it. I won't stream Wednesday. Thursday will be Dragon's Dogma 2. I've already actually built characters using the character creator, so we should be able to just run and go. We'll see how it works. If it's a little choppy or laggy on my computer, then obviously I won't stream during it. And then we'll see how that goes. Friday will be Princess Peach Showtime. That'll be fun. And then I'll be continuing either Dragon's Dogma or Princess Peach on Saturday and Sunday. Yakuza will be taking a break. And then next Monday we'll get back to this. Now, if you want to get caught up on this or any other thing we've done in the past, hey, check out the YouTube at youtube.com/@proto042. There's a link in the About page of my Twitch. It's all up there. I generally updated it the day of. It's pretty quick. Now, with that said, I hope you enjoyed the stream, because I enjoyed streaming it. Have a good one. Bye.